This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Anahita TV. Thank you so much for joining me. And this channel is our first episode, so I'll give a little general, I have my friend here, Hektor Mendoza. I'll give a general overview of this show, of what it's about and what this channel is about. The channel is basically about helping us manage or guide each other through these uncertain times. As you know, the prices of everything is going up. Home ownership has become harder. And so I have a professional loan advisor right here. He's been in the business for 10 years and very successful. He's done several hundreds of loans. And that's why I asked for his expert advice today. And he's here I have a few questions for him. And if you guys, the listeners, I see questions. If you put in the questions in the last 10, 15 minutes, I will address those questions as well. And it's a little bit entertaining. It's not all going to be
all about money.
Yeah, it's not going to be all about money. We'll talk about Hektor is pretty buff. We're going to talk about health, wellness, everything at the end. So thank you for joining us. So without further ado, here's Hektor Mendoza, and I would love for you to give us a quick overview of who you are, what you do. And we work together in the same office, and so I'm biased. I like Hektor and his style of business. So go ahead and let us know what you do. And
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. Super excited to be here. Yeah, my name is Hektor Mendoza. I've been in the mortgage game for a little bit over 10 years now. It's something that I love to do. I started in the processing, so like more of the back end rather than selling mortgages. So I had to learn the ins and outs of the business itself, almost working as an underwriter. So I got to learn that part of the business. It's a lot of math, but I enjoy it a lot. It's a challenge, a lot of discipline, a lot of memory. So yeah, it's been a great business. Been in for 10 years. I am the in-house lender for the office where Anahita works. I am the co-founder of Lending Hub. We're a company based out of Encino. So yeah, market right now it's a little crazy, but as I can say, I love what I do. So it's been a great journey so far working in the mortgage business.
So I know that thank you for that intro. And I know that the market is very volatile. That's what we hear. Everybody's kind of afraid of what's going to happen from now till election time. But still, the market is pretty saturated. It's busy. We have listings. We have buyers, sellers. Market is moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there was an adjustment in price. I feel like from last year, there was a small drop, like 10% or so.
Yeah, I mean, I think more than anything, it's the waiting game, right? A lot of people want to wait for the rates to come down. I mean, we hit the high time rates where we're like at 7.75 on conventional mortgages. So now we're at the 6.5, 6.3 range. So it's a lot more doable for most of the public, most of the consumers. But I think what's happening right now is a lot of people are waiting for the September Fed meeting, which is going to happen September 18, if I'm not mistaken, where the Fed is supposedly they're going to do the first rate cut of the year. And that's going to be the first of many. They're going to try to get down, to where we were at before. I mean, I don't think we'll see 3% in the next 5 to 7 years, but I think in a healthy number, we might get to the low fives. So I think that's the first thing the Fed's going to meet. And then depending on what Jerome Powell says, but I think we'll see probably between 0.25% to 0.5% rate cut. And then that would
for
drop
the first one
for the
in
first
September 18th.
September, yeah.
And so how are the rate cuts going to happen? Like every quarterly, or what's the plan?
So there's a few meetings. I think the next meeting after September is in December. It's the last meeting of the year. So we'll see that one. I think there's going to be another rate cut for that one. I think actually there's going to be a rate cut for the next 4 or 5 meetings. So there's a CPI report that comes out every month as all the econ data comes out every month. Then they analyze employment rates, unemployment rates. They, CPI report, which is Consumer Price Index. So they take all this data and then they put it together and they figure out if inflation is actually coming down. So based off of that, they'll make a decision. But as of right now, all the data that's been trending, it looks like we're going to see a few rate cuts for the next few months.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. So that's going to make a few people happy. Hopefully, a lot more listings sold. Get sold.
Yeah, they'll definitely motivate buyers to. It makes it more affordable for the payment. So I think it'll motivate buyers to get to purchase at the end of the day.
Definitely. So we recently you and I had a conversation about the different trends and the different loans that are out there. One of the things I recommend for buyers is to reach out to a lender like Hektor Mendoza instead of a bank. The reason being is because they have access to all of the banks, most of the banks, and they have access to a variety of loans that are more beneficial to the client. So can you speak a little bit on that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So at the moment, my company right now, we are a broker, which means that we have a pool of about 20 to 25 different investors, from conventional financing to non-QM loans, which are like not the traditional type of loan, more creative financing. We can work with hard money loans, which are private money loans. And when you go to a big bank, a brick and mortar bank, usually their loan products are a little bit more, cookie cutter, right? So conventional, they have like very strict guidelines. Not that they're bad. I think that when you're looking at jumbo, like super high end real estate, a lot of those type of clients, they have a lot of money with their bank and they're going to get the best deal. That's when it's more convenient to go to a bank. But working with a private broker like myself or a direct lender, you get more of a customized experience, right? Because you know the loan officer you're working with. So we're working with you throughout the entire process, compared to you sitting at a bank and you don't know the loan officer there. It could have been a teller that just got promoted. A lot of stuff can happen, but you don't know the experience that they have, compared to myself, where I'm very proactive in the industry, where I am always networking, trying to meet more listing agents, more buyers agents. So for example, when an offer goes out, I most likely can know the listing agent and help you kind of navigate that. The offer is always done by the real estate agent, but we can help as in a teamwork to make sure that we can help the offer get accepted. So we're more proactive, and our rates are as competitive as any credit union, as any bank, but you're getting more of the private experience by working with a broker or a lender, because you're recommended and somebody's already used them before in a way. So we have just a wide variety of loan programs for self-employed people, W-2 people that don't qualify with regular tax returns. We could do a stated P&L loan. We could do bank statement loans. So there's a wide range of products for different type of buyers.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. And so I wanted to talk about relationship. I feel like our business is a very relationship oriented business. For me, like my first job was a coffee shop. Second job, I worked in retail. So it wasn't really relationship. It became relationship when you had returning customers, but it was a fast transaction. Coffee was quick. When I was a teen, that's what I did. But the thing is, I had a learning curve when I became a realtor, because I realized it's a 6 months to a year type of relationship. I want to talk about that and how important it is, especially if you are one of the people that isn't a homeowner, and thinks that homeownership is very difficult, and you don't think you have the funds. Maybe today you don't have the funds, but you will. This is how I bought my house when I was a youngster. I moved to California. I was 20, I think I was 25. I tried to buy a house and I didn't qualify. So I stayed in touch with my realtor for 2 years. 2001, I moved here. And then I'm giving my age away. Anyway, so what I did was it took me a while. I had a great job, and then my partner at the time ended up having a great job, and then 9/11 happened, and then there was it was really bad. We couldn't buy for a while. A lot of people lost their jobs, and market was really scary. But I became a homeowner. That's the gist of it. Is after a year and a half of a relationship with my lender and my agent, we became homeowners, and I never regret that. So can we talk about that and how one can, keep that relationship going?
Yeah. So every person's situation is very different. I'm getting people into their first home today after not only 1 or 2 years. I've had people after 4 or 5 years. So the relationship is more, like you said, when you're in the business for the long term, you know that any client you talk to, even though they might not be ready today, it could be a real estate agent that's new in the business and is looking for more of coaching or support in the business, or a buyer that says, hey, you know what, I got turned down by 5 banks or loan officers because my credit's not good, whatever the situation may be. What I like to do is I like to nurture that client, help them. I have a resource pool of credit repair, CPAs, attorneys, whatever it is that you need to get you where you need to be, right? So someone that's self-employed has never filed, high income taxes, and all of a sudden their business is doing well. They don't know how much they need to show. So that's where, and a CPA's job is usually to help you reduce your tax liability. So they might advise you to not show a lot of income, and that might make you not qualify. So that's where having a savvy loan officer, where I can talk to the CPA, make sure that they're aware of what they need to show to qualify. At this time, the buyer might not know what he needed to do, right? And all of a sudden the CPA says, well, for you to qualify for this loan, you need to pay this much in taxes. So all these questions are important to do, but that's where you have to nurture the client and make sure you don't give up on them. So relationships are important. It can turn into because for us as a loan officer, when we close a deal, when we close a transaction, it doesn't end there. Usually we end up doing a refinance for them, right? Rates come down, they need to pull some equity out, they want to reinvest, they want to build a ADU on their house. So we're always a resource for the consumer. So it's good to stay in touch. You have to keep that rapport, always building upon that. And if they had a good experience, they're going to want to come back to you.
For sure. Yeah, that's wonderful. I know I'm with my first couple of deals that I closed. It took me a while. It was a building of a relationship, and I was like about to give up. And one of the things I wanted to say, and I think it's the same for the home buyer. So this is a message for you as the home buyer. Don't give up so fast. If you are not qualified today, you may be qualified in 6 months to a year. But talk to your loan officer. As he said, there are programs available where he can guide you and look at your income debt ratio,
right,
and give you some tools. And if you have bad credit, he can show you the right people or the right procedures to fix that situation so that you can become a homeowner. Because there's nothing more, if you check, most became millionaires because of home ownership,
because of real estate, right?
Because of real estate.
I thought we lost you guys.
No. So that was a great answer. Thank you so much for that. So long term, those 30-year loans, the conventional loans, can you give us an overview of what's happening? That was what was in fashion when I bought a home. That was the thing people did. But I know there's more interesting or creative loans at the moment. So give review.
The traditional amortization, which means the length of a loan, 90% of the mortgages out there are for 30 years. So that's the industry standard, 30 years. From there, you have adjustable rates. For example, an ARM loan, which is an adjustable rate mortgage, it could be a 5, 7, or 10 adjustable. For the first years, whatever, depending on the time period that you pick, a 5, 7, or 10, and then it goes normal fixed for the remainder of the balance for the 30 years. But then you have, for example, FHA loans, you have VA loans, you have first-time buyer loans, you have non-QM loans, which are non-qualified mortgages that fall under bank statement loans, that fall into bank statement loans, fall into stated income loans, all that type of financing, but they're still 30-year loans. They're just amortized different, but they all fall under the 30-year bracket. But your traditional mortgage is the 30-year conventional loan. That's your go-to.
Okay. And what's the percentage right now today at 2024 September?
The standard rate right now is 6.3, 6.4. There are other type of loans. There are 15-year loans and 40-year loans, but they're not as popular because the payment shoots up significantly. The rate could be a little bit better, but because you're paying it off in a short amount of time for the 15-year loan, the payment could be a lot higher. And if you do a 40-year loan, it's also a great option not many banks offer a 40-year option,
Hmm.
but because you're paying it over a longer period of time, the payment can be lower. So
Okay.
that could also
So
work.
that's a good, I think, option, the 40-year for people who really want a house. They can't afford it, but they
Yeah.
know like 5 years or 2 years from now,
They can always refinance, right? They
refinance,
can always
and
refinance.
it's that way they can just get in, get into a home. I know a good
Right.
friend of mine, she was a student becoming a doctor. Her husband was in construction. They bought a gorgeous home in Calabasas. She became a doctor, and I think it's already paid off. So
Yeah.
But I remember, they couldn't afford the house, so it was a 40-year loan and I said, how did you do this with one income? And
Yeah.
then I believe that's a very smart way. If you know you're going to make the money soon, within the next 4 or 5 years, I think it's a great option.
And even though the fear of the rates in today's market, if you think about, depends where you live, what market you're in. But at least for us here in the LA market and surrounding areas, we know that property appreciation is not going to stop anytime soon, right? So, I mean, people that bought 10 years ago, I mean, what, like if you're looking
Triple.
anywhere in the valley, at
Triple,
least,
exactly.
like someone that bought, I mean, I remember some areas in Encino, Studio City, you could buy a house for $600,000.
Yeah.
Now you can't find anything for less than $1 million. So,
Yeah.
$1 million, $1 million
$1.5
dollars.
million.
Yeah. So, so it just shows, like back in the day when someone would say my house is worth $1 million was something to say.
Right.
Now it's like any house in Reseda is $1 million, so
that's true.
So it changes everything, but the appreciation is still happening. We are expected to see I think I just saw some type of survey that said that for 2025, by the end of 2024, properties in most of the country would have appreciated 5.4% minimum. So that just shows that it's consistently going up, and that's very important when you're trying to buy real estate, obviously.
Okay. Thank you for that answer. Yeah, I mean, I remember in the Woodland Hills neighborhood in 2008, when the market dropped from 2008 to 2015, which was a long time, you could buy a gorgeous 4-bedroom house with a pool, large, kind of a larger property. It was about 400, maximum 500. Now that home is minimum $2 million.
Yeah. That just makes you think, right? Like back in the day, I mean, obviously the income was very different compared to what you would make now. But in the sense, all the people, like you said, that bought, I remember when I got into mortgage and I had clients buying property. I used to work in the Pasadena area and people were buying $600,000-$700,000 house and they thought it was expensive back then. Right. And now, like you said, those houses are worth minimum 1.5. So it's just, it's tough. I mean, as long as you're not overpaying for the house at that time, but if you're in it for the long run, like they say, date the rate, marry the house, because the house over time will appreciate and the rate can always be changed. So
that's so true. Yeah. I mean, so a lot of my friends, when we all bought together back in, early 2000s, a lot of them are paid off, or, when we all refied, you wouldn't even understand how low the payments are. I know one of my friends is paying $1,200 a month. And
don't,
it's like an apartment.
Because then people are going to think that
that was 20 years ago. Okay. So don't look at that. It's like not even in a 1-bedroom apartment you can get for that price. So anyway, so that's just saying, but for you who don't have a house, if you bought today, anything just a small, even a condo, whatever you can get into at a lower price, believe me, in 20 years, you're going to be so much happier. And if it's very, very difficult, keep in touch with us, keep in touch with myself. I'm in real estate and Hektor is loan. So we both work together to make sure we bring you to the place where you can afford your starter home. So it's never too late and it's never small enough. I say just get into even a 1-bedroom condo. I mean, if that's what you can afford, whatever it is, it's better than paying rent forever. So anyway, let's move forward. Let's talk about some of the discount loans that are coming up. Or I don't think that's called a discount loan. I'm sorry.
It's like first-time homebuyer programs, down payment assistance programs. So in California, I'm going to be speaking most of the programs that are in California. Mm-hmm. So right now we have a program that is it's a 3% down payment assistance, but the lender pays 2%, which we pay 2% of the down payment and the buyer pays 1%. So from the 3%, the buyer's contributing 1%. And so it's a great option. We also have a 0% down through CalHAFA. So it's 0% down. It follows traditional conventional guidelines, but the program gives you the 3%. And then there is a very famous program that was talked all over social media, on the news, the Calhafa Dream for All Shared Appreciation, which gave you 20% down, but it's a lottery-based system, so very few people actually got it. The funds were depleted in 2 weeks. Wow. So so whoever got in, there were it's literally like a lottery system. So you would submit your application once you're pre-approved, which we are approved for Calhafa. So I got a ton of buyers that wanted to get that program. We would submit their pre-approval application and then wait for them to get selected. And then you would get a voucher if you got selected. Then you can go purchase a house. But it was close to impossible. It's literally like winning the lottery. So that there is that program. They are
coming up again.
It's coming up next year. Yeah, it's every year they're rolling it back. So, and then there's another. If you're talking about down payment assistance, they all fall under the 3%. And then there's grants that give you 2% or the 3% where you don't pay anything. But most of them, they have different names depending on the bank.
So who qualifies for the 2% grants?
So it's a first-time homebuyer program. So they have to be. What that means is that either they cannot own anything at the moment, or they have not owned anything in the past 7 years. That's typically one of the strong guidelines. They are a little bit flexible when it comes to the interest rate, depending on the program.
What are the interest rates like?
Usually it could be between 0.5% to 0.25% lower than the average mortgage rate. So if rates are, and today it's 6.3, it could be maybe 6.125, around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. Do they? What if they have a down payment and they don't qualify for this, for the 2%?
Well, I mean, the benefit is the down payment more than anything. So if they're going to put 20% down, then they wouldn't really need to buy. I mean, to get a down payment assistance program, especially a lot of the down payment assistance programs they're really tailored for the low end properties. So, for example, we have a great program right now that is a lender paid temporary buy down. So we were offering last year when the rates skyrocketed and they were at the peak, in order to help offset some of that rate hike. What we ended up doing is the mortgage industry came up with something called temporary rate buy down. So let's say if the rate at that time was 7.5, you can do a 2-1 buy down, which means that you would buy the rate down 2% under market rate for the first year. And then it goes 1% the second year. Then after the third year, it goes to the regular interest rate. What this did is that if you were at 7.5, you would make your first year of payments at 5.5. So it just makes it more affordable. Right. The problem was that it was a seller paid or agent paid. So if the cost to do the buy down was $20,000, $30,000, the seller had to fork the money, or the agent from your commission, right? So nobody wants to do that. So it did happen, but we're seeing it more on properties that were not selling, that were sitting for a while, like the ugly duck on the block that nobody wanted. Right. So it didn't work that well. But now we just rolled out a lender paid buy down, which we would cover the cost of the buy down for the first 2 years. But the only caveat is that it's limited to an income limit. So depending on the zip code where you want to buy, you have to be within the 80% medium income limit. So most places in LA County, the max is like $89,000. So that's only going to get you at about $350,000 loan. So most LA County areas, it's very difficult to find that. So you have to go to the outskirts of the city to find homes that are in the $300,000 to $350,000 range. Yeah. But it's a great program because the rate today is 6.3. You would get your first payment at 4.3%. So,
oh, wow. Yeah. That's pretty good.
First year at 4.3, second year 5.3, and then the third year it goes to the regular rate of 6.3. But this just gives you enough time for you to get your ducks in order and then refinance once the rates drop even further.
And then, your income level could change. You could do, have more down payment.
Yeah. Or, it just gives you time to wait out the market to refinance into a permanent fixed rate for the life of the loan while you get everything in order, or as soon as the rates come down. The problem right now that we're seeing, for example, when the rates started coming down, when we broke 7 and under, we hit the 6.8. Everyone wants to refinance as soon as they see the next drop in rate, but it's not recommended. You always want to wait at least 6 months just to keep a good mortgage history, because rates can drop. It's like the stock market. You don't want to, buy every time you see that. You want to kind of wait it out to see if it drops. It's hard to know where the bottom is, but for example, people that wanted to refinance within the last few weeks, should they do it now or should they wait until the Fed? Because we already know the rates are going to drop. It's almost 100% certainty. So do you want to do it now or wait? So we would recommend waiting until the Fed rate comes, so that way you can refinance then, and then you wait out the market again another 6 months for them to refinance in September, and then after the election, say they dropped a little bit, and then like you don't want to be refinancing every 2-3 months. So
because there's
every
costs.
6 months, right?
It's not free.
Your closing costs, all that comes into effect. So to get a 0.25% lower rate after your closing costs will take you, a year or two to make back what you paid in closing costs. So I would recommend waiting a little bit.
Wait and do it after in 6 months. That was great answer as well. How many? I have another question. So what are some of the trends that you see in terms of like home sale that's happening? Like I know that different areas have different types of sales coming up. Like Woodland Hills has become really popular because of the Rams coming up. So do you think that, what's happening in the neighborhood would affect the rising of the home prices?
Absolutely. I mean, anytime there's something that can drive attention of people wanting to move to that area is always going to create appreciation. Anytime you have something negative, for example, crime or, just a lot of apartment buildings being built, that typically reduces not the affordability, more the appreciation of single family residents more than anything, because now people don't want to be sandwiched between, two big apartment buildings. So, but yeah, if there's typically, I remember that happened in Inglewood, where Inglewood, wasn't one of the nicest area in town, but when they built a stadium there,
SoFi Stadium.
Yes.
Amazing. Absolutely gorgeous.
Property values skyrocket. I remember friends had purchased over there for $500,000-600,000, and now they're 1.4, 1.5 and close to the stadium. So definitely when there's something that's even a mall, a nice shopping center can help the home values go up.
Boost the value. Woodland Hills has become the gem.
I like Woodland Hills. It's really nice. It's really nice.
All right. So you've answered a lot of amazing questions. So let's with my show, I like it, keep it entertaining, not just a lot of information. The information was great, so thank you. But Hector here is very buff. Show them your muscles.
You're not gonna make me flex on camera.
I'm kidding. Maybe
I'm more than happy to do it. I'm more than happy to do it.
Okay. So Hector is very healthy. So what I like to talk about is on my show is 3 or 4 different things, like family, health, and your wealth. We talk about wealth, and I usually want to start with wealth because it's a concern right now with all the fluctuations and changes. But happiness is more defined about all the other things in our lives, like our children, our parents, our families, our friends, connections. Unfortunately, after the pandemic, the suicide rates are very, very high because people feel very, very lonely. So I want to address, how do you keep your head above your shoulders? Like, how do you keep your health and wealth? And, you have a daughter, I understand, and, you're very close to her. So there's, I'd love to know your point of view.
So I think I have to say I was very fortunate from a young age to understand, kind of like the movie Matrix, and not getting into any politics, but a lot of the stuff that we would see on TV, what was it called, right? Programming. So everything is programming. What we put, you look at it from a computer point of view, right? If you get a 10-year-old laptop or computer, it's going to be very hard for it to run all the new software because it requires a lot of memory capacity, right? So if you're not feeding your mind and you're not taking care of yourself, doing exercise, meditating, these are stuff that I do personally. So you have to feed every part, your soul, your mind, your body, so that way you can survive all the good and bad things that come to us, right? So I think you have to be very selective. When we're all young, we can, to watch sports, go out and drink and do whatever we can besides working, but we're more irresponsible in many ways. But I think as we get older, I saw something recently that said, you feel like you're 20 until you go out with 20-year-olds, and then I'm like, I'm definitely not 20. So, but you feel that, right? So the way I see things, obviously now as I get older, is I want to make sure that I'm there for my daughter, right? I want to make sure that I'm healthy, that I can, live to see my grandkids someday. So, but I started this since I was very young. All the programming that I allow into my mind, I don't watch any broadcast TV per se, like TV news channels, stuff like that. I'm more
We're
selective.
on the same.
Yeah,
20 years now. I don't watch
yeah,
it.
for sure. It's been at least 20 years. I mean,
Yeah.
I do watch, obviously, like Netflix or
Some
Prime, stuff like that.
movies
Some
here and
series
there.
that I do enjoy. I do like to watch stuff like that. But in general, I try not to watch too much TV I don't watch any like broadcast TV from cable networks. So, and I did that since I was very young. I read a lot. I love reading.
What are some of the books you recommend?
So right now I just finished the book by Patrick Bet-David, called Your Next 5 Moves. I highly recommend
I bought
it.
that book.
Yeah, it's a great book. I just finished that.
Good.
I'm halfway. It depends on my mood. I have different books that I'm reading at once. I have great retention for books. 7 Habits of Highly Influential People.
Highly effective people.
Yeah, highly effective people.
I read that too.
I'm in the middle of that one. So
good.
Yeah, but I love reading. So that's all part of my journey, making sure that whatever I put into my mind is going to feed me and keep me afloat. And obviously working out for me is even a form of therapy. I mean, obviously I like the physical aspect of it. You know, you challenge yourself. You want to get muscles, you want to get bigger, you want to get fit, or whatever that can come. But that's just a consequence of the main thing, which is it gives me mental clarity. If I have a rough day at work or personal issues, I don't think I've had one day where I say I left the gym and I felt worse. So like sometimes I'll trick myself. I'm at home and I'm feeling down, you know, for whatever reason. It could be business, personal, family, something happened. And I'll grab a scoop of pre-workout, throw it in my blender, drink it, and just let it do its magic. I start getting the tingles. Yeah. My skin starts getting tingly, and then I just walk into the gym, and then I'll just do a workout.
Yeah,
and I feel
sounds
great.
like meditation for you.
Meditation is, I started doing that like in the last 5-6 years. I've been consistent with that. I actually took the Transcendental Meditation course. So I actually became certified.
Wow.
Like I got the course meditation. So that definitely did change my life. And that's more of a mental clarity, more peace of mind. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's being Mexican or whatever it is, but, you know, I'm always in a rush to go nowhere. I can be driving and I just get road rage. So, but meditating has helped out with a lot of that kind of like explosiveness, short fuse. So I do that as well. And in combination with exercise, bless you. In combination with exercise, I think it gives me a good balance to just kind of keep my head, like you said, on my shoulders and not lose my mind every other day. So
that's wonderful. I love what you said about meditation for mental clarity.
Yeah.
I started meditating a long time ago, also a while back, and I learned a lot about myself when I meditated.
Oh, that's good.
It helped me.
What made you get into it? Like, was there something that triggered the meditation? Because there's always something that kind of gets us into.
I don't remember if it was. I studied psychology, so I was always concerned or looking at people and trying to understand them and their actions and my actions and what made me do certain things and what made others do certain things. So I was really interested in psychology since I was 14. I started reading books on psychology.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's how I came across it. And then when I was in college, when I was like 18 or 19 first or second year of college, there was a free yoga class after school in my college, and I tried it, and I thought it was weird, but like hooked. What am I? Yeah, then I got hooked. I was like, what is all this cat child pose? And I thought it was weird because I was like you. I was very athletic. I always worked out. Since I was a little girl. I have 2 brothers and 2 male cousins that were my age, so I had to be physical or I was dust.
Yeah, I know how that is. I have sisters too.
So I had to become really, really physical. Like my mom, at one point when I was 9, my mom cut my hair really, really short so I would fit in with the boys.
Oh my goodness.
And and I would wear T-shirts and really little shorts and get in the streets and start, bicycling. And I have a lot of scars from it. Wow. Okay. I got pushed around by the boys.
Well, that's why you need the meditation now.
Yeah. So then I became very athletic and I became a runner and I played basketball in high school and I was on the track team. So I was always very health and I think that's how I got into meditation. It wasn't really, I don't remember. It just happened.
Got it.
It was just a natural process. It was never. But it's difficult when you get into it.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
Oh yeah. I mean, I tried doing it for years prior to actually getting into it. But I love biohacking. Anything that has to do with like new supplements, new exercise trends. Yeah. I mean, with the knowledge that I have, I can kind of weed out the stuff that's just nonsense. That's not going to work. I mean, like and not to offend anyone, but like this whole Ozempic thing, it's completely absurd. You're risking your health. It's so ridiculous. But
it causes throat cancer.
Yeah, I mean, there are people walking around like looking like zombies after, because like you're so hooked on it. Now you don't want to do anything but that, because it's so easy to lose the weight. But then it has other side effects and consequences that people are not considering. It's like when people do too much stuff on their face with cosmetic, then it starts with one little thing and it just expands. Then they're looking like dolls, and they don't look human anymore. So
I haven't done any injection.
Yeah. So,
and it's like every time I go out. Yeah. And every time I go out.
I think there's a balance to it. If you do it in moderation, just enough where it fits.
I'm afraid of it. I don't want to look plastic.
I mean, look, my thing is the fear. I mean, like I'm willing to try certain things, but then you hear like they did Botox and then now they died, something happened, and like there's always a consequence or side effects with a lot of stuff. But I just choose to pick my battles, whatever's more
it looks
friendly for me.
I guess for me it just like doesn't look natural. I like having facial expression. I like doing this with my eyebrows,
No, I mean, look, I know some women out there that have it and they're beautiful, and I have nothing against it. I have friends that do it. I have coworkers that do it, and it's amazing. But it's like it's just for like I think it's a comparative thing. I mean, it's something that is not part of your body, so you're bringing something external. But again, as long as you keep it within moderation and it looks aesthetic to your body physique, then I think it's okay. But I always recommend working out is the best way to do it. Don't fall under any of those trends. Eat healthy. I drink here and there. I'm not a big drinker. I'm not the type to get home and like pour myself a glass of scotch. It's not my thing. But when I go out, I like to have a drink or two. I'm not against it. Absolutely. So it's just like you say, pick your poison.
Right. Limitation. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, with like the Botox or cosmetic surgery, I feel like when it's over the top, that's when it's not healthy, because there is an addiction to it. That's what I think that's unhealthy, because at the end of the day, it's poison you're putting into your body. So that's how I think about it. But
I've tried. I remember I did Botox a few years ago, and it was like I couldn't move my face. I was literally like my whole forehead, like as you guys can see, there's a lot of lines there.
Yeah,
there was nothing, and I was just like, okay, this looks great. Yeah. But the maintenance of it, having to do it more consistently, and I'm like, I'm okay. I don't mind it. It's fine. I'll wear my scars proudly.
Exactly. That's where I'm at. I don't know. I feel like I want like something in my
I've thought about it.
But we all want to be young. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's about being young at heart. So for me, I feel like as we age, we need more stretching.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I feel like I need more yoga. I need more stretching to stay younger, to stay healthier. And then food wise, there's a lot of allergies going around. A lot of people are allergic or to gluten, and these are changes. And it's not just gluten. The reason people are actually allergic to that, it's because of the chemicals that they put on.
Yeah. People say I used to eat the same thing 30 years ago or even 10, 15 years ago. It's not the same product. Even if you're drinking a Coca-Cola, which I love, when I'm eating tacos, especially birria or tacos with a cold Coke, it's the best. But the Coke is not the same. The Coke today has high fructose corn syrup rather than sugar, and so the contents of any type of product, from bread to cereal to chips to cookies, they're not this. It doesn't have the same product, or the way they make it is not the same as they did it 10, 15 years ago.
Because they've over chemicalized or whatever the ground. So even in the rain and in the ground, before they even go ahead and plant those the seeds of the product, it's already going to be.
And if the seed is already GMO, forget about it. Then you're going into it's a double hit there.
So how do we stay? How do we choose our foods? How do we stay afloat in
whatever works for you? Like honestly, like for example, like
do you have a specific diet?
Not really. I mean, I try to eat clean. That's the thing. I try to do I eat 4 or 5 times a day to maintain the weight that I want, because I'm trying to gain weight in a sense. So, but I'll indulge. If I go somewhere and there's tacos, I'll eat tacos, and I'll eat 4 or 5 tacos. I'm not gonna say no. But I try to eat 80% of the time clean, right? And then that 20%. If there's cake, if there's ice cream. I just went to Disneyland California Adventure with my daughter for the holiday on Monday, and whatever she wanted, we ate. Dad, let's
Okay.
get some ice cream. Ice cream. Dad, let's get this. Dad, let's get that. So we indulge to the max. But the
Right.
moment
you
like
come home with
that's
a
it.
stomach ache.
Yeah, I mean, I was hurting for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, whatever you get back, you just get back on track. In the mornings, I'll take apple cider vinegar to kind of flush all that stuff out, and then make sure I go to the gym, sauna, sweat everything out. Especially if you drink, you want to get in the sauna just to kind of flush out all the bad toxins, alcohol toxins. So, but yeah,
That's a good hack.
I think that is
I like that.
if you take care of yourself 80% of the time, you have a little bit more flexibility with what you can eat. The problem is, and I've been a personal trainer when I was very young, and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, but if you're overweight and you're over the age of 30, 35, and you're still consuming sodas, chips, and you're just indulging all those bad food, you're not only doing this to yourself, but you're doing this to your family. Why? Because you're eventually going to get diabetes. You're going to get heart pressure, high blood pressure. You're going to get a variety of disease that can come, and they can come to any of us. They can come to us eating healthy,
Even
clean,
if you're really
anything.
healthy.
Yeah.
I was sick when I was really, really healthy.
Yeah,
And
it can
then
come to that.
it
But the
comes
odds are a lot
from
lower.
stress. Yeah, the
The
odds
odds
are
are a lot
lower,
lower.
but it's like I worked out a lot and I ate very healthy and I still got sick. And it's
Yeah.
because I remember then I tried to track my habits. What did I do? At one point I remember there was this vitamin or energy pill that helped you with your workout or weight loss.
Yeah.
And I remember I rapidly lost a lot of weight. So I swear to God, I feel like that was the thing that took me over the top because I was never a supplement person. So the whole family was really shocked when I got sick. So you have to be careful with what you said about
absolutely.
life hacking. There's a lot of, genie in a bottle or like snake oil, as they say, that people want to sell to you. There's, and especially with social media, everybody wants to sell you something.
Yeah. And everything works for everyone and all this stuff. I mean,
yeah,
I
you have to be really careful what you take.
I was talking about this with someone today. They were saying about fat burners and just stimulants. I can't do fat burners. Like I don't know if it dehydrates me too much, but like if I take fat burners, anything that is too like has a very high stimulant, I don't react well with it. I get dehydrated. I get super thirsty. My lips I start getting like the little tremors, and I think it could be because it activates your metabolism. So I'm already hot as it is. Like I get hot naturally, even though if I'm in an AC, I get hot. So if I take anything that's going to stimulate that, it's going to make things worse. So I don't like any type of like all these energy drinks.
There's a lot of drinks. I've never had anyone. Okay, so I had one. My dad had a gas station when I was younger back in Texas. So I remember the guy who brought, the Red Bull for the first time. And he gave me a free one. I was watching the register. I was, at that day. And he said, hey, you want to try? There's a new drink by, I think, Pepsi or Coke makes it. I forget which one. Anyway, so he's like, here's a free one. I want you to try it, sample. I remember I had one sip and I spit it out. It was so disgusting. It's changed. The properties have changed over the years, but all it is I think 10 times more caffeine than coffee.
Right. Yeah, they have a lot of coffee. A lot of them
sugar.
A lot of them don't have
way more sugar than Coke or Pepsi, and people drink it as an energy drink, and I'm like, this is not healthy.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not getting energy because
they'll put
it's healthy.
B vitamins there and taurine, other stuff, but I mean, it's definitely not something that's healthy.
Yeah.
And the worst part about it is that, like you said, it's so popular on social media that young kids, like I've gone to 7-Eleven, stopped to get something, and I'll see kids walking out with Monster or Red Bull, and they're in their teens, and I'm like, your
natural body produces all that as a young child, as a young kid. So
I try to find, for example, my pre-workout, I try to find something that has more natural caffeine, so it comes from green tea, so more for like natural resources, and cuts all the stimulants, because there's like, especially for those that work out, and there's pre-workouts out there that will crank you up. Like you'll take it, you feel like you just took, I don't know, something, and it just blows your head out of the water. But you don't want that, right? Because then it's not natural, and then you get accustomed to that, and then you can't work under those parameters all the time. So you want something that's more natural to give you that energy boost, but something that's not too stimulant. But most of the pre-workouts, that's how they're pretty rough.
Right.
Pretty rough.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Do you? So what's your routine? Do you take like a pre-workout before your workout, like a protein shake or bar?
I've been training my nephew for the past year and a half, almost 2 years now. I used to go in the morning. I used to be part of the 5 a.m. club and go super early to the gym. To be honest, I would be dead by noon. I would work out, between 5 and 6 in the morning, and then go drop off my kid at school. But that would leave me by noon. I was just destroyed. I was so tired. And then I started training my nephew. He's just about to turn 18, and he got super committed to the gym. So I told him, as long as you're in, I'll wait for you. So now I wait for him to get out of school and for me to get out of work. So we go between 6:30 and 7 p.m. And honestly, I have great energy, but I still want to take pre-workout sometimes just to help me get through the workout. But like I said, it's not that. It's more of a natural pre-workout. It doesn't have all those stimulants.
Okay, sounds good. That's so nice of you to be, that's part of the family thing. We never even got a chance to talk about family, but you did say some stuff about your daughter and how wonderful it is, to. So I recommend that. When you go home today, give your daughter or son or husband, wife, cousin, whoever you're around, give them a hug. They say 21 hugs a day.
Yeah.
Yes. That keeps the doctor away. So stay healthy. Stay safe. We're coming near the end of the show. Any last minute comments?
No, I mean, it's been great being here. I love, talking about what we do for work, for our profession, but at the same time, sharing a little bit of what we do after hours, right? Which is, or before hours, before coming into work or after that. But yeah, I love being a dad. I love sharing. I think I'm passionate about talking about my business as passionate as I am about talking about fitness and biohacking and family. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you've been a great co-host today, and hopefully we'll have you back soon. You answered you answered a lot of amazing questions about loans and home ownership, relationship, and I feel like in all parts of our lives, relationships is the number one key. We are human beings, not, as they say, human doings.
Right.
So I know after the pandemic, a lot of us are just working a lot. So stay safe out there. Stay connected to your family. I know that it's tough right now financially for everybody. So we understand you. Just create a community. Try to understand one another. Help each other. I see a lot of communal livings. That those are interesting for people who can't afford their home at the moment. So there's a lot of interesting things, and I just hate to lose more people when it comes. I'm really involved with a friend of mine who has a suicide. Her daughter killed herself, unfortunately. So I'm involved with that. So, and I'm, my heart goes out to the families who were lost that way. So, at my channel on Ahita TV, it's not just about making money and real estate and loans and things like that. I'm really concerned citizen, and I want to create a community where we can talk and share ideas and help one another thrive in these times. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Hope you guys are happy, healthy, and doing amazing things in your lives. Thank you.
Stay fit, guys.